Have you ever considered, when you're testing the waters for an intimate relationship, to start asking some things? Some are funny, some, let's say, a bit more not so comfortable. Some, just for classical security, not necessarily, reproduction, health stuff, just classical things that you want to consider to feel safe in a relationship. Well, this crazy coach here just came up with a list of 76 questions to ask before you enter a relationship. Okay, granted, some of those questions are better answered down the line, so, a few years in the relationship, but still, 76 questions. How about that? Are you ready for the third degree? Then let's dive into this video. Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. In the past week, I finished editing and posting on in my Patreon community a 4-video series with 76 questions to consider asking in the early stages of your relationship or before even deciding if you want to be in a relationship. A lot of those questions are inspired from my coaching work. I'm nearing 9 years of coaching, and I've had a lot of people coming up with a lot of situations. Sadly, a lot of them came after they had broken up. Okay, it was too late for coaching. And a lot of people actually, they feel that if they rock the boat in the beginning, they mess it up. What happens a lot of the times is people entered a relationship, but they didn't enter the right relationship with the right person. Either they're not ready for the relationship, or the other person isn't ready, or they're just not a match. Okay? And when situations come up in their intimate relationship, either between the two partners or from the environment, they're in the situation where the relationship is basically tested. And sometimes you can actually get some insight into at least how to navigate those challenging situations, or sometimes you get a clear answer that maybe this is not the best match. Yeah, I mean, I know that, you think of intimacy coaching and you just want to learn blow techniques and massage techniques and lingerie and sexy movies or sexy books to read and all of that. But the truth is, coaching is supposed to help you assess better your compatibility, or prepare you in a better way than you can do on your own for the tougher moments that can come up, at least about intimacy. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of situations that can blow up a relationship. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's just family, complicated family stuff. Sometimes it's just culture. Sometimes it can even be politics. I'm not going to get into what happens right now with the United States, with deporting people, couples being separated or having to relocate with their partners because one of them is deported and so on. I'm not going to get into that. That's way beyond intimacy coaching. But when it comes to matters of sexuality and physical and emotional intimacy, a lot of this stuff can be at least foreseen. This is what coaching helps you with. I wrote them down. They're got 76 questions in total. I'm going to read a few of those questions that I asked in that series, just to give you an insight of the potentiality of those, topics. First of all, in the first series, I looked at a lot of resources. What are the stuff that you like to wear, to smell, to taste, etc., to see? Okay, so resources, a lot of those. And then further down the line, I asked more challenging questions, such as, can you or do you want to share your top 3 fantasies with me? You would think this is a simple question, right? Well, in that discussion, I explained some of the situations where the answer is, no, I don't want to. Please don't ask. I don't feel comfortable to do so. There are some situations where people do want to share their fantasies with their beloveds. And I gave you some insights on how to navigate them. Do you draw, write, picture, or paint basically, or create any erotic art yourself? Some people do that. And when I say erotic art, I'm not talking about OnlyFans accounts. I'm talking about, classical drawings, writing erotic novels or poems, doing, paintings, sculptures, stuff like that, animations. Okay, some people have an artistic side to them, and erotic art doesn't have to be, just the OnlyFans stuff that we see now. No, it's a lot more than that. And some people are more classical in their expression. And sometimes, I even shared there, people can be beautifully surprised or pleasantly surprised to hear that you think that maybe there is more to it than just, OnlyFans. And somebody who's an erotic artist might appreciate that you're asking in advance. Sure, if you enter a relationship with an erotic artist, they are bound to share their art with you. Now, at this question, I also approached the situation in which they share it with you, and maybe it's not to your liking, because there's a lot of ways in which you can do erotic art, and some of it you might like, some of it you might not like. And I discussed there what to do in case the stuff that this person shows you is not to your liking. Okay? All right, another question that I opened here was, what do you think about AI girlfriend or AI boyfriend? What do you think about sex robots? Now, again, you might think that this one's simple, not too much philosophy here. Well, there are some situations where this might actually be a bit more complicated, and you never know. Okay, this is not the kind of stuff that people think to ask in the beginning. But let's say that somebody's open or honest enough to answer sincerely, and you find out that they have an AI girlfriend / boyfriend. What then? That's what I discussed. All right. Another question that I asked was this: who do you think is a sex symbol? And there was another one that I like. There's a couple of questions here. And I explained that this one isn't just, for discussion's sake or for conversation's sake. This one has a deeper meaning behind it. And it is a more subtle way to find out something about them in advance. Yes. So this is the kind of questions that you will find there. There are 76 questions in total. Here's my take on it. A lot of people don't think to ask these things in the beginning. And usually they don't even think themselves what they would answer. Because sometimes, let's say that you're not the one that does the most preparing for a relationship. Sometimes it's the person that you're intimate or interested in. They are curious about this stuff and they start asking you questions. And some of those questions might, take you by surprise. And you don't even know what to answer. And I've even said it. Some of the questions here are actually loaded either towards men or towards women, because there is a lot of, how do I say this, charge in terms of ideology, in terms of values or judgments around sexual expression, and it's not always the same for men or for women. And sometimes people, either men or women, find themselves asked these kinds of stuff, but there's a hidden agenda behind it. It can also happen sometimes, so you never know. So these questions, some of them are supposed to give you more insights into how to pleasure the other person. Some are supposed to give you more insights into how to handle. Let's say that there's a question actually there about what happens if there's a third person. Neither one of us is attracted to them, but this person has the hots for one of us or even becomes a bit obsessed. How do we handle that one as a couple? Okay. Then there's another question there that goes into what happens if down the line in our relationship we meet somebody and one of us two is drawn to that person. What do we do? Okay, these are some possible situations. You see a lot of movies about this. What is it? There's a Korean woman with a Korean movie with Gong Yoo. I think it's called Man and Woman. This is actually something that happens. And it's a movie about that situation. Well, you can watch the movie because it's got at least one super hot sex scene in a sauna. but the entire movie is how do you handle When your relationship is you're married, you have kids, and then you meet somebody, either one of you, you're super drawn to, what do you do then? How do you handle it? How do you go about it? This is the kind of situation that can happen in real life. And sometimes, maybe, because this is also true, some of these situations, maybe you don't want to bring them up with the potential person that you're dating. Or, you're basically exploring to see if there's a relationship there. You don't have the courage to bring it up with them, but at least you can bring it up in coaching sessions, because coaches can be a really strategic resource to help you figure out what you want in that moment and what is the best way to go about it, and usually most ethical way to go about it, so that you don't regret it later on. Yeah, a lot of these situations, the tricky ones, people are not prepared for them. They just find themselves in those situations and they act randomly. In a lot of cases, either the relationship is massively impacted in a negative way. Sometimes it ends and people end up regretting. So that's where a strategic approach like this one, like let's look at at least in concept, at these situations. What would I do? How would I go about it? And how would I figure out if maybe in some relationships you would act in a certain way, because let's say the relationship wouldn't have such a high stakes, but if it's a relationship with somebody that you see yourself for the long run, and then you end up in a nasty situation, you might actually answer these questions in a completely different way. Yeah, coaching, intimacy coaching can really help you navigate these pesky situations much better. So if you want to access all those 76 questions, you can check out my Patreon community. You can sign up for just 1 month of membership. Under each of those videos, there are the questions written, just blank questions. In the video themselves, so each of the 4 videos, because it's a 4-video series, you actually have insights into those questions, potential answers, how to navigate in case the answers, or how to assess if the answers are compatible or not. Okay? So, have you ever considered asking any kinds of questions before you enter a relationship, or you just go head on first? I'd love to know. If you want to have a different approach, join me on Patreon. You've heard some of those questions here, and maybe those are questions that you've already figured out. If you did, kudos to you. If not, believe me, there are so many more questions there that you can find useful. So that's it. I will see you in the next video, and I will really look forward to seeing you in the Patreon community. Bye.